All right, cool. Hi, everybody. Uh, Welcome to a little demonstration. Yeah, we're going to talk about how to handle the switches on the top of the audio interface. A lot of people were kind of asking some questions about how to approach those because they're a little bit weird, a little bit tricky. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. So I'm going to create a polyplane. Just gonna just gonna set up a simple scenario here. So I'm just going to scale this up, and I'll just get rid of the subdivisions on it, and just get rid of the grid. So here's a polyplane, very simple polyplane, and we're going to try and envision this as the top of our audio interface. So the way I would approach this is you want to find where those switches are going to lie, and then really what we need to do is create the shape for the switch cavity, or you could call it like the recess of where the switch is, and then go from there. And I mean, really, we're talking about a sort of like a pill shape or a capsule shape or even sort of a cylindrical shape. So let's make that shape first. So what I can do is I can very simply create a polycylinder, um, and I'm going to take my polycylinder down to a lower subdivision axis of 8, nice simple number. And you know, I can even do this over here. Okay, um, so I've got that cylinder shape, and I'll just rotate this on the z-axis by 90 degrees. Um, so yeah, I want that sort of pill shape. So really, what we're talking about is um, a cylinder and a sphere. So my sphere, I'm going to take my sphere down to subdivision height and axis of 8. So I can type 8 in both of these values, and I'm going to rotate this on the z-axis 90 degrees as well. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half of my cylinder like this, my sphere, and get rid of it. And I'm also going to do that to my cylinder. Okay, just like that. And I can do that to the other side as well. My cylinder. So what I can do is I can simply point snap this. I'll turn on wireframe on shaded. What I can do is I can simply point snap. So the center of my cylinder is here. The center of my sphere is here. I can simply take one of the two objects and hold down the V key, and I can just on the z-axis I can snap these to the center like that, so that they're aligned in the top view, right? right? So if this is over here, and it's important that you don't scale either of these objects. Okay, both of these objects need to be um, the same width. So make sure you match the scale of these before you do this. So if I hold the V key and I just take this on the Z axis and I snap it. Okay, so these, I basically want this center line here to be aligned with this center line here. So I can take this, either or, doesn't matter. I can just align this guy to this guy. And then I'm just going to take these points. Well, I could take the points, or I could move my pivot. So I could hold the D key. What we'll do actually is I'll just simply hold the D key. So that makes my, if you remember, when you hold the D key, it makes your pivot. You can move the center of your pivot. So my pivot's over here. I'm actually going to change my pivot to be aligned right with the edge of the cylinder. So I'm just going to hold the D key and hold the V key, and I'm just going to grab the X-axis and snap it to the edge of the cylinder, and then that way now I can align, I can let go of those keys, and now I can just snap, because the pivot's been moved to the edge here. I can hold the V key again and take the X-axis and just snap that cylinder to this sphere. Okay. And now I'm going to duplicate my sphere and bring this over here, and I can just flip it over. Negative. Oh, excuse me. I'll just mirror it actually. So I'll just mirror this. I'll say mesh. I'm going to go to mesh and then mirror the options box actually. And I want to mirror it on the X-axis, positive. So I'll say apply. And so yeah, that'll be fine. And I don't want to combine it with the original, so I'll just say apply. And I've got this old one here, and I can blow the old one away. Just get rid of that. And then I can take this new one. Now the pivot's way over here. Okay, so I can take this new one, and I can go to modify and center pivot. So I'll just center the pivot on that, and I'll just bring it over. Got a frog in my throat here. And now I can just align my pivot to here again by hold the D key. Okay, to move my pivot, I hold the D key, so I can move the pivot wherever I want, holding D. But if I hold V as well as D, I can actually snap the pivot to a point. Okay, so you need the pivot to move, and you need to use your snapping function. So D and also V to be clear. And then I'm just going to snap that there. So what it gives me is this pill shape. Okay, just like that. And then what I can do is I can take all of these and combine them. Mesh combine. Combine. And then I can also, to make sure all my vertices are welded, just because this is welded, just because this is combined, doesn't mean that all my verts are together, which they are not. Okay? can see that these points are not together. So I need to make sure that they are together. So what you can do is you can just mouse over, you can just click and drag over all the points. And we can just merge those together by going to Edit Mesh, Merge, and just make sure your values, you can set it to like 0.01. It should work. It should work. And then, you know, all you have to do is click out, click anywhere on the screen here, and there you go. It merged all those points. So now I have this capsule, right? But now that I have that capsule shape, what I can do is, what I need is just the bottom half. So I'm going to blow away the top half like this, right? And you can see I have some triangles here, so I'm going to clean this up a bit by getting rid of those. So click here, and click there and there. So these two. And what I want to do is just say delete. Okay, so I have 4-sided faces. Okay, nice clean geometry. Remember, always. Always, always. So now what I can do is I can take this and I can start accommodating for this piece of geometry. So I'm going to go to wireframe mode here. So let's say, so I've got my shape, right? I've got my shape for these to go in. Let's say I wanted to, so we're saying that this is the top of our audio interface. As long as I have one of these modeled, this sort of half pill shape, I can copy it around wherever I need to. So look at your reference, figure out how big it is. So I'm going to say it's about, you know, let's just say for argument's sake it's about yay big. The switch ditch. Switch ditch, or the recess that the switch sits in. Let's say it's about that big. So if I know it's going to be about here that it's going to go, what I can do is I can start dividing this and accommodating for the geometry of this guy. All right, so, and you know what? Okay, let me move back a little bit. What I can do is I can actually, I'm going to go back and I won't delete the top yet. I would personally delete it beforehand, but for you, maybe just leave the top so it's a little bit easier for you to see what you're doing, and then we can get rid of the top later. So we've got it going right through, okay? Cool. So I'm going to make it the proper scale. So let's say that my switch divot, my little switch ditch, or switch dimple, divot, belly button, I don't know. Well, let's say it's about this big, and that's where it's going to go. That's its placement. And obviously we're going to have like a switch inside of this thing. What I would do is I would place it, and then we're going to start accommodating the... Oh. Somebody's calling me. Sorry about that. Phone rang. Okay, yeah, we need to start accommodating for the geometry that's in here. So right here, we're going to have an edge flowing through. I can tell that we're going to have an edge flowing through the center, because again, we want to keep everything in quad. So we're going to have an edge flowing right through the center. And we're also going to have some edges flowing this way. So yeah, that's what we'll do. So what we can do is we'll go to edge mode, and we can split this edge ring utilities to edge ring and split. Okay, so I split this in half by using my edge ring utility tool. So I'm going to hold control and hold right click, edge ring utilities to edge ring and split. So there's that edge, and I can drag this edge down by holding the V key. I'm going to hold V and snap it right to the center. Hold it, snap it right to the center. Okay, just like that. And I also want some edges flowing in this way. Okay, so I need to have an edge. So I'll split this again. You have an edge coming this way, and I'll split this. I'll split this right down here, because really what we need to do is we need to kind of box things in. Okay, need to kind of box things in. Remember, to maintain the curvature of this and the form of this, we really need to box things in. So that's why we're going to have that there. And I'll split this because I need another edge this way. And I'll split this way. Need another edge there. And there we go. So yeah, and yeah, that looks about right. That looks okay. It may not even be necessary to have all these edges in here, but anyway, that's all right. We can leave them. And so what I'm going to need is another edge flowing this way. And I'm just going to snap that there. And I'm going to have another edge flowing this way. Now I'm just hitting the G key because I'm repeating that two edge ring and split tool. So here I can hold control, hold right click, edge ring utilities, two edge ring and split. So it's going to split that down there. And then I'll set my pivot down here. Again, I'm holding the D key. If you want to reset your pivot to be down somewhere where you're working, just hold the D key and hold V, and you can middle mouse click and drag like that. So I'll snap this line here. Okay. So I have an edge running. I got a frog in my throat. I just can't get rid of it. Sorry. So I have an edge running through here, and I'm going to have an edge running diagonally from this point to this point. And then I'm going to have this edge running from here to here, and this edge running from here to here, and so on and so forth. So I've sort of planned this out for myself. So what I can do at this point is I can start making some divisions after I cut this out. So what I'm going to do is I can get rid of the top now of this. So I'll just get nice and close to this. I can get rid of the top. So I'll just select everything I need to get rid of and delete it. Okay. Oops. I selected some stuff that I didn't want to delete. You always want to be careful of that. Don't want to delete things you don't want to delete things that you don't want to delete. that makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to you. Okay. Now what we're going to do is a Boolean. So we're just going to take this, and I can take this and just move it up just a little bit, just so that it's just poking through. It's like that. And what I want to do is I don't even have to have it poking through, really. It can be flush. So what I want to do is a union. Of these two. So I'm going to grab this large mesh first, and then I'm going to shift click the second mesh. Okay. And what I can do is I can say mesh booleans union, or I may want difference. Give me a second here. Yeah, I wanted difference. Sorry, not union. So difference, I used the difference operation. Okay. So mesh difference. Okay. So I got rid of the top and got rid of the top geometry, okay, of my pill, and I just made a difference operation between the two by selecting the large mesh first and the smaller one second. Okay. And now I just need to clean this up, because if I hit the 3 key, it's gross, right? It's disgusting. So we're just gonna clean this up. And the way we're going to do that is we can we'll go to face mode, and then we'll go to the modeling toolkit, and I'll make a couple of cuts. So I'm going to make a cut from, I'm going to use my multi-cut tool, and I'll just make a cut from this point here to this point here, and I'm going to make a cut from here to the center. Okay, I'm going to hold shift and click, and it'll allow me to grab the 50% point, which is important. That's what you want, 50%. So we're going to go there. And then we can go straight off wherever we want. So we're going to go halfway, just like that. And the same goes for here. Click on this point, and then we'll go halfway here. So we'll just make sure it's at 50. And then we'll go this way, 50, and there we go, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to go through and clean all of this up, point to point. Oops, it's not what I want. I want this point here to this point here. And this point here. And this to this. So needless to say, it's a little more advanced what I'm showing you. But holding shift. And there. And there. 50%. And here. And 50%. Okay, are we done? Almost. Almost done. We need to clean some stuff up here because we have some artifacts. We have some artifacts going on. Yeah, so there's a problem. So I can see when I hit smooth, it's giving me an artifact there. So I need to make sure that these are merged. So I'm just going to grab these points here, and I'm going to say edit mesh merge. Okay, so that should have worked, which it did, and so that's giving me a nicer result there. Okay, and here, let's see, same thing here, merge. So, and that's a bit of a nicer result there. But we still have some issues, don't we? Why do we have issues? Well, that is because we need to get rid of these two edges here to make this quads. And there we go. That's going to make that solve a lot better. So this is a good lesson for you. Quads work way better. So you can see the difference between this and this. This is just not solving well. It's sort of pinching in this area because this is what we call a high valence vertice. High valence meaning there's a lot of edges flowing into that one point. So it's not giving us the best result. So what I'm going to do is just blow away those edges there, and it's giving me a much nicer result. You can see much nicer. So better, but not the best yet. And that's because we need to shore up this edge here needs to be shored up. So I'm going to hold control with my multi-cut tool, and or actually no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bevel. I'm going to try beveling that. Grab that whole edge and just bevel it. By a nice low fraction. Let's say 0.1 and 2 segments. Just like that. Yeah, like that. So that's probably going to give me a nice result. If I turn wireframe on shaded off. Yeah, I'm digging that. Digging it. Okay. Like it. Love it. Loving it. And now we just need the bottom hole for this, and a really simple way we can create that bottom hole is we can go in and we could probably just delete that, which will give us something like this. But you know what? I'm not sure that that's the way I want to approach that. What I might do is take the multi-cut tool and cut from this point or maybe even this point here, and I'll go 50%, and I'll just cut around. To this point here, and 50% here. I'll close that. Okay. And then I will select this geometry in here and do that. And that's what we're left with. And we have quads. We have quads. Yes. Okay, cool. Now, the last thing we need to do is we need to just select this loop, this edge that's going around here, and extrude it. And we're not going to use the thickness value. We're just going to go straight to the move tool once we've extruded it, because we want to extrude this straight down. Like this. Okay. And then what I might do is just take this outside edge and bevel it so that it's nice and bevel that. Just like that. So it's nice and crisp. Okay. That. And there you go. And then for the actual switch, you can just use a cylinder. You know, something. Take it down to a nice number like 8. Scale it up. And you'll also need a sphere. And point 0.125. Let's copy this value. Needs to be the same scale as my needs to be the same scale as my cylinder here, and I'm just gonna snap. I'm gonna snap this to this edge here, and snap this to this. Snap the center of my sphere to the center of my cylinder, and I'll just delete the bottom half of this and the top half of this, and there we go. And now I can just combine these two once I've moved them into place, obviously. So I'll just move that there, and then I'll just combine these two. So mesh, combine, and edit, delete by type, history, and I'll delete the history of this too, because it's got some serious construction history on it. So there. All right, and there we go. So we have this object and this object now. So we could call this mesh switch 1, and this would be mesh AI base or whatever it is you've got it named. And there you go. That switch there. You can have this here. And there you have it. Bada boom. Your audio interface switch. Okay. That is the correct way to model the audio interface switch. I will warn you that you're going to have to accommodate, you really try to plan out your topology here. Plan this out. So when you model that audio interface, plan out where your switches are going to go and go from there. Okay, not the other way around. So there you go. Here's your switch. Happy modeling and good luck. What you might actually, before you go, you might want to do, just throw a blin on these guys to make sure that you can kind of see. Blend material is always nice because you can sort of see how it looks. Get some specularity on it. Yep, but there you go. Your switch. Okay. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helps, and happy modeling once again. Talk later.